Stephen Wayne Rochon, U.S. Coast Guard, Rear Admiral. My upbringing, I was raised in a single home. My dad left when I was 3, but I had a strong mother who kept her 3 sons in line. In fact, I still feel the belt on my back for stepping out of line. And she wanted us to succeed. She stressed how important education was. Fortunately, because she worked at Xavier University, we went to school tuition free. So I got an education because of that. But she never let us step out of line. And there were opportunities for me to do that a lot in a fun city like New Orleans. You know, there's all kind of temptations there. But she kept tabs on her sons. But then when it was time to move from her apron strings and to get out on my own, I value mentorship. And I've had some great mentors in my career that taught me to pass that on to other people. I think even to this day I could probably count at least a couple of hundred people that still, even out of uniform, call me or email me or text me. And so what made me successful is to help other people get there also. And so that made a major difference. So in addition to the challenges, in addition to getting an education, at one time when I left college and then to finally get my master's, and even at my age I often think about a PhD. Whether or not I pursue that or not depends on a lot of other factors. But so in addition to that, following what other great people have done before me, and I bring that up because what I mentioned earlier about this group of gentlemen, these 7 gentlemen who went through incredible odds, unbelievable odds, to be successful because they concentrated solely on their mission, on what they were supposed to do. Their job was to go out and rescue lives. And so I studied them as much as I could, and that's my current book that I'm writing now. It's not just about their heroics, but about the legacy that they left, not just their descendants, but countless of other people like myself. I didn't have any close to the challenges that they experienced. They went through all those years from 1880 to 1947 and never got recognized for any of their rescues. Everyone else was getting gold and silver life-saving medals. But they didn't do it for recognition. They did it because of, as the head of that group in 1800 once wrote, he signed a letter to his superiors complaining about how their families were treated during the Civil War. They all signed up to fight with the idea that they would be free someday for joining the Union Army. But their families back home, promises were broken. They weren't getting the pay and the food for their families. And he wrote boldly, as a former slave, still a slave in the Union Army, he wrote this letter to the general and he signed it in behalf of humanity. And so I use that motto. That's actually part of the title of my book, in behalf of humanity. And so it makes me think that when I first stumbled upon their story in 1987, I followed what they went through and what they did and what I'm writing about them now that helped shape my leadership success. Just when you think the chips are down and things are tough. Think about some folks that really had it tough. I was able to get them the Gold Life-Saving Medal posthumously 100 years after their most famous rescue. Because I want people to know their story. I want people to benefit the way I benefited from learning about how they succeeded despite all odds. Of course, with these P. Allen lifesavers, I wanted to make sure they got recognized, although they never felt it, and they didn't care about it, which was an example I took from them. They did their jobs, despite no one recognizing them. But the purpose, I think, is not to define them or to define me, but to teach a lesson. And you do that by one young lady, not quite, a little bit older than you all are. I went to speak at a high school here in D.C. back in February. And they were fascinated by these guys that didn't get medals. And this one young lady, a senior in high school, raised her hand and she says, you know, this is a great story. We've never heard about these gentlemen. And you were able to get them the Gold Life-Saving Medal. But what can you do more to recognize them? And I said quickly to myself, wow, the Gold Life-Saving Medal is pretty high up there on the list. But then she surprised me, and that's why I love being around young folks like you, because sometimes you're smarter than us older guys. And she says, well, what about the Congressional Medal of Honor? And I thought about it for a split second, and I have worked with not a young guy, he's a 90-year-old Marine who didn't get his Congressional Gold Medal recently, and he now has it. And I said, young lady, I says, you know, that's amazing that you bring that up. I've never thought about going that level. Gold Life-Saving Medal is the highest medal you can get for heroics. But the Congressional Gold Medal is the highest civilian award. And I says, you have just presented me another challenge. And I will let you know, not if, but when I'm successful in getting that medal, you're going to be on the front row, because I'm going to give you credit for coming up with that idea. So medals are great. They look pretty on the wall, but I'm not defined by the medals.